So what if someone comes into after meal time and it's over? I said, if I'm standing in the kitchen and we're closing, there's not a soul in the place, and they come in and say, could you make me a sandwich? I'm going to make them a sandwich. I'll go back in the kitchen and get it done. If I'm there, there's no reason not to. And that's kind of our, our mission statement with Chateau is to do that. So we always strive to do that. That's pretty important.
Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And we are here now with Chef Tom and Sherrelle, and they are the masterminds and the leaders of this amazing culinary program at Chateau Retirement. And welcome back to both of you to the show. Thank you. So you guys work together a lot, obviously, to coordinate with kitchen staff, culinary staff, serving staff, training. There's all different types of things that goes on, employee programs, development programs. Tom, I'm going to go to you first. Tell me a little bit about, kind of how you put together a program like this, because there's, like Sherrelle mentioned, you have 70 serving staff, but how many staff members do you have in the kitchen area?
Overall in all the communities? I think, Bothell is probably, I would say, is double the size of the other two. So if you took Chateau Pacific and Valley Center, together, it's about the same. So I think they're probably around 25, 30 in each of the other buildings too.
Yeah.
There's 100, well over 100.
That's amazing.
So, but I think the main thing is, for us, I think is the hiring process is so important. Getting the right people in. I think we can, like Sherrelle was saying in her segment about the young kids, teenagers, usually a lot of them are their first jobs, but I think the main thing with them is if they have the right attitude, we can train them to do anything. We can train them to serve, we can train them. They have to have that want to do that. So we get the right person in there that wants to be there. Residents love younger staff they always have, and it's awesome. And they do too, because I think that for them, that's the age of their grandparents.
Yeah.
They really connect with them.
Well, and it's something that I think is missing in society today. A lot of the things where you give this opportunity is to connect our elders with our youth. And, I know that somehow the world's changed. A lot of times, the adult son and daughter, they move away and they raise their families, and mom and dad still stay in the hometown. And so they don't have maybe the same kind of experiences with their elders as they did, as we did when we were growing up, right? And I think about those things, and I think about the opportunities that you give to our youth, just in that piece of having the opportunity to be around our seniors.
Definitely. It's huge. And when I do phone screens at Bothell, I phone screen everybody, and especially the high school kids when I'm talking to them and explaining. Most of them are referred in from current employees. So we have a very nice referral program. And I would say probably at Bothell particularly, 90% of my front of house staff are referrals from other staff.
Amazing.
And they're not going to refer friends that are going to be, lame, right? They're going to refer friends that are going to be enthusiastic and love what they do and all that. And I just tell them about how cool it is, this opportunity that you get to meet and work with these residents and get to know them on a different level. And especially a lot of these kids don't have grandparents that are local either. Right. So they look at it's very cyclical, like circular, I guess, where, the residents get a chance to, see these kids and talk to them about their day. And the servers, a lot of them are really quiet and shy. That misnomer of, to be a really good server, you've got to be super outgoing and bubbly. Some of our best servers aren't outgoing and bubbling. They're a little bit more on the quiet end and thoughtful.
Right.
But watching their confidence build as they, learn the tools of the trade and, 3 hours on their feet, running around, doing stuff. Serving's not easy work, right?
No, it's
not. They're training their brains to remember all these little things. And like you talked about earlier about, the gentleman who he doesn't even have to ask for his milk anymore. And these kids, they do it. They train themselves to do all those kinds of little things.
Well, and they develop relationships.
Yeah.
And I think the thing is having that kind of a relationship with someone that is a senior, the residents take interest in the students themselves. Tell me a little bit about that dynamic.
It's hard to explain unless you're actually there to see it, right? And I have a lot of staff that stay on because of those relationships that they get to build. And I don't even get to hear about a lot of it. Sometimes I find out well after the fact that, so and so went and talked to them in their apartment when that they were not doing well. We had a staff member who's not here anymore. I actually had all 4 siblings come through Chateau at one time, and he's the last one. He's working on a fire program now, and he would come back even after he had left the Chateau, like last year, and visit some of the residents that really had, made an impact on him. And just, I get teary sometimes because it's just, I remember that, and I still have things from residents that were very near and dear to me when I was 16, 18, 20, and, just those memories and that legacy kind of thing.
So Sherrelle, you've grown up in this industry, like your career. And obviously you have this passion for our older adults. That has to be passed on to the people that, that work with you now in your organization. And Tom, your desire to be there for, in a high-end restaurant where it's all about service. Tell me how that comes together with the two of them.
Well, I think it works really well because I think, like we said before, it's kind of like a restaurant style, everything's restaurant style. So I think the intensity of that, along with the caring that we do for the residents, kind of comes together, and it just all works really well. The staff is fantastic. They care about the residents. I think the main thing if the one thing that I can take away from all the staff is, and include myself and Sherrelle, everyone, is we really care, and we really want to do the best for the resident. Whatever the resident wants, we're going to do our best to get it. And whenever something doesn't go well, it hurts us to have that.
Absolutely.
So we want to make sure that it doesn't happen again. And like in a restaurant, you would work all day long and go home and you wouldn't hear anything. But the thing great thing too, the residents, they're there every day. So if you do make a mistake, you get the opportunity. You get the opportunity the next day to make it right?
Yeah.
Let's see them. So that's really cool to have that happen. And
Well, and I think the other thing, the fact that you guys have such a wonderful long tenure on average of employees, you're not having to reinvent the wheel constantly and figure people out because, I'm sure high school kids, they come and go because of that area, because of just college and things like that. But obviously there's a lot of people in this industry that I've learned that either come into it through a personal story, whether they've had a senior loved one or someone that has touched their lives that they wanted to come into this industry, or exposures like this, where I worked in a dining room and I realized that I wanted to do this the rest of my life. Are you finding that that's the case in many cases with your staff?
We tend to promote from within wherever we can, and that doesn't necessarily just mean within like our department. I think that you take a look at the Chateau and the management staff that through the years we've had people that maybe have started in culinary that have ended up in admin and have ended up as EDs too actually, and or housekeepers that will go from housekeeping to reception, or so that's kind of the cool thing on that factor, as there's different steps in life, and obviously dining rooms can be very much a shorter term life cycle. High school staff, they leave, they go on to school. A lot of mine come back for seasonal. It's big enough that we can do that. But then you can capture some of the other staff that this is their career, and they stay there because they feel this sense of, you don't want to overuse the term family, but it really is. I mean, I spend more time with my dining room managers than I do my own kids, who are now kind of grown up and in their 20s now too. But they're my work kids, and they're my frontline staff as well. So I'm kind of pouring into those guys so they can pour into the servers and the residents. It's just kind of all flows.
Yeah, you guys in many ways are mentors. You're helping them develop into, being good employees, being, and really work together as a team. How do you inspire teamwork?
Well, I think the teamwork comes from, you have to kind of walk the walk, so to speak. So, I think if we're showing teamwork, they're going to have teamwork. And the front of the house and the back of the house have to work together. That's important because that's always kind of sometimes in restaurants. So they have to work, we get to work together. But I think if you treat everyone fairly and you show them what teamwork's all about. Cherylle's going to jump in if she has to. I'm going to jump in if I have to. We're going to do those things because then they'll go, oh, they're doing it. So maybe we should do it too. So I just thinking, that she's mentioned the family part of it, which is so important, getting the right people in there. And we treat our employees very, very well, I think, in my opinion. We really care about our employees. We listen to them. And I think you mentioned, about training them for their job, but I think we try to also train them to be better people too.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's something that happens too, because sometimes like Sherrelle said, someone comes in, they're shy, they don't talk a lot, they get in this environment, and the next thing you know, 2 years later, they're, I can name off quite a few people that's happened to over the years. That's, they're still with us. And when I remember them when they first started, they wouldn't even, I'd come in the room and they're like, now it's not that way. So that's always good. It's always cool to see someone after years just develop into a totally different person, not only in a job, but as a human being too. So.
Yeah. And really looking at the whole picture of, wow, there's it coming at it from their perspective. Not only do I have people that are interested in me and that care about me, but I have all these opportunities in front of me. And they may see things for themselves that they never thought about before, just from this experience. Not only that, but meeting the residents that they're serving every day and learning about their backgrounds and meeting like veterans and former teachers and different people, engineers.
Let's be honest. It's not cheap to live in a retirement community. So we have some people that were very, very successful and have a lot of knowledge to share that they love to share if they get a chance to kind of connect with, somebody that's looking at that same career path or,
Absolutely. Where do you see, just the whole culinary services in senior living? How do you see that evolving?
I think probably to continue to really focus on individual kind of personalizing as much as possible. Every 10 years or so, we think that we're going to this is going to be the wave of, the really healthy people. It hasn't quite happened yet. They say they want to be healthy, but when fried chicken is on the menu, we sell 90% of those specials. But the, other things, the gluten, dairy-free, those kinds of things. We mentioned earlier too, a more appreciation for global cuisine. It's no longer just about like American Chinese.
Right.
They'll do Indian food, Mexican food.
Amazing.
So you've got a whole bunch of different, Thai and Vietnamese and just some different cultures that we get a chance to play with. And I kind of look at that too as our jobs somewhat are to educate the residents and to expose them to things that they maybe never had before. And they get annoyed sometimes when they're like, why don't you just call, this sauce or whatever, something simpler? I'm like, because this is what it's called. So if you go to a restaurant, now you know what an airline chicken is. Now you know what a beurre blanc is.
Yes.
Because you had it and you can order it.
Yeah.
And,
or a Mornay sauce or anything like that. Absolutely.
Right? So.
Yeah, it's not cheese sauce. Right?
Yeah. It is, but it's not.
It is, but it's not. So obviously in that too, I think just looking at the whole boomer industry, the boomer population, as we're getting older, I'm really seeing, a lot of need for obviously flexibility, like what you're saying. How are you seeing that need coming forward? Because obviously boomers, sometimes they want to have dinner at 11 o'clock at night. So, now, right? How do you see that happening in the future? It could be. We never know.
Well, I think they're going to. I think eating later is going to be a thing eventually. Like Joe was saying, we keep thinking it's coming, but it hasn't really
It hasn't yet.
come yet. But we do get, we will get residents in that want specific things and have specific needs. So we'll cater to that as best we can. So, but we really haven't had the big push for some of the specialty things. But like we had mentioned before, I think the just an open variety of different kinds of foods is definitely happening.
Definitely happening.
And what we'll hear is, as far as individualizing goes, hey, can you put something Thai on or something? I saw this, or here's a recipe. Could you do that for me? Or we get a lot of that. Here, make this, or we get the same thing. Like, this is my mom's recipe. Make this for me. My mom's recipe. So,
Well, I'm sure since COVID things have changed, but I have a special memory when my mom lived here. I came on Christmas Eve once. And of course, Christmas Eve was our big celebration, being a Swedish family that we were. And we always would have oyster stew for Christmas Eve dinner. And I made a pot of oyster stew and I brought it into the kitchen, and they were very nice to heat it up for me and serve it to us. And we sat at a little table together in the Chateau dining room. And I just thought, what a nice thing for them to do for us. And certainly that was going above and beyond for us for your cooking staff to do that. I'm sure things have changed since then, just with health rules like that. But it's that willingness. I have that memory of Chateau going above and beyond to do things like that.
well, we'll still definitely do that.
You still do. That's amazing.
We can do that. We'll do whatever. Whatever a resident wants. If we can do it, I always tell the cooks and the servers, if we can do it, let's do it. I was just actually talking to someone today about, what if someone comes in after meal time and it's over? I said, if I'm standing in the kitchen and we're closing, there's not a soul in the place, and they come in and say, could you make me a sandwich? I'm going to make them a sandwich. I'll go back in the kitchen and get it done if I'm there, So, if we're there, we have the ability to do it, we're going to do it. So,
awesome.
And then there's no reason not to. And that's kind of our, our mission statement with Chateau is to do that. So we always strive to do that. That's pretty important to our company.
It just sounds like there's really no request that's too much, in the way of, of an everyday need for a restaurant. You guys are going to do whatever it takes to accommodate that. Yeah,
for sure.
That's pretty amazing. Thank you, both of you, for being on the program. It's a pleasure. It's so nice to meet you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you.
Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.